water.
And this happens in the membrane?
Once it goes into the membrane and into the within the that's what it's called.
It is the cell membrane, right?
It's not the cell membrane.
Oh, it's the thachyloid. What is it?
The thycaloid.
That's it.
Membrane. Yes.
And then it gets.
Okay. So anyway, so it goes inside. It gets split up. What happens to the hydrogen is down here at the end. You have this. It is the ATP synthase or ATP synth, and we will send the hydrogen down and out through it. And when it goes out through it, it will generate energy. So it's sort of like a turbine. It will go through it and it will generate.
Do we need to know about how the hydrogen, like the thing about where it jumps up and then that?
Yeah, where it splits or whatever. It goes up.
Or just an overview that it goes into the synthase is all we really need to
You just
know.
need to know that it comes in and goes into the synthase.
Okay.
So, anyways, we'll just have lots of hydrogens. Know that this has a large number of hydrogens floating around in it, so it's acidic.
Is a synthase
Outside in the stroma.
in the stroma? So it is an acidic base in there.
So there will be some acid-like qualities in the stroma. Just know that there's hydrogen floating around in there. So what happens is there will be light. It will come in and hit this. The photosystem tube, and inside there are what's called a it's a pigment. The stuff that's down here where it showed the diagram looking like this, and the electron shoots out. That stuff's called pigment.
Okay.
You just need to know it's a really complex molecule. It's called pigment.
Okay.
And so what it does is it will eject an electron, which will travel up this way, but not actually. Won't actually exit the membrane. It'll just climb up the chain. So it'll climb upward because it'll get a really high energy. Think of it like something getting hit by lightning. That's the sort of effect that it has on these things. It jumps up to a ridiculous energy level. And when it reaches that high energy level, it's sort of like a roller coaster. It'll go all the way up to the top, and then rather than going straight back down, it'll travel some distance. And in this case, distance that it travels across the ETC, the electron transport chain, it'll take it to this stuff. Can you look up how to pronounce that for me? It's not on this one. Can you look up how to spell it? The cytosynthesis, whatever. Okay, so it'll travel over to here. And what it'll do over here is it'll build up a really large quantity of electrons in here. And when it does that, it'll act sort of like a magnet. And there'll be these, as I said, these hydrogens that are floating around out here. They will travel in and through and back through there. And they'll generate more energy. That's how it keeps generating electricity, or energy, for ATP.
It's fine.
Okay, I'm going to go back through this in a second, but then they continue, they travel on over here to photosystem 1. Photosystem 1 is where they get zapped again.
Is this where their energy is dropped?
Their energy doesn't drop until it hits here.
What would happen there?
It's sort of like a holding station.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm gonna wipe that. Can somebody get me the diagram for the non-cyclitic and cyclitic so I can look at that?
Anyways, Grant, is that energy being held as form as an electron? What is the energy being held by? Is it by thermal energy or what?
It's in the electron.
So it's excited.
Yes.
So it's basically like in another. It's farther away from its original shell, but since it's hydrogen, there's only one shell.
Think about it like this. By this point, there's not even shells because it's been ejected. Think of it like this: you can fly something in the atmosphere, or you can put it on a rocket and entirely eject it from the atmosphere. It can entirely escape the Earth and its gravity if you give something enough energy. So what happens to these electrons is they get shot out at such a high speed.
So it's like this. When they get shot by a photon, they get shot out of the hydrogen.
Stuart, this isn't really
They go away.
relevant for the photosynthesis, though.
helps me.
You just need to know
Oh,
they
well,
go
that's
away.
good then.
You need the cyclic one or no?
Yeah, keep it close by. I'm not gonna use it yet. So anyways, so let's see. This goes to PS1, which is right there. So now it's in photosystem 1 and it's over here. So it'll get hit by another photon. It'll jump up to very high energy, and then it's always the part where it gets really crazy. Okay, so what happens is this is photosystem 1. It'll go up, high energy, and then it'll head off again down the electron transport chain. And then it'll
The cyclic one and I have the non-cyclic one.
Do you have that picture?
paradoxin. Thank you. I need to figure out how to spell it. Thank you. So it'll hit this stuff called paradoxin. And this is another holding station for it. It'll stop here.
Does it need another photon when it goes to photosystem 2? Okay.
It'll photon.
Okay.
Whenever it gets excited, know that it needs a photon to become excited. So it'll hit here, and one of two things will happen. What will usually happen is that it will continue on, and think of it as it's traveling down this chain, and it gets stopped by the paradoxin. And the paradoxin takes it and sends it over to the NADP. So what will happen is that if you take NADP plus and you add an H plus and electrons, remember those two electrons that we just sent down the chain, it will get you NADPH.
Is the NADPH recycled?
Yes. So at this point we have our NADPH, and as we said back earlier, when it is ejecting all of those hydrogen atoms, that creates ATP. Because what happens is you'll have ADP. Keep in mind ADP doesn't have much energy to it in its bonds, and when you add the energy from when that exits, it gives it energy, and that will lead to, because there'll be, just think of there as being lots of ADP and phosphorus lying around, but it doesn't have enough energy to combine. What happens is when these exit, it generates enough energy that it creates ATP. So that's the ATP and the NADPH. That's what it's for.
Okay.
Question?
Does the when the ATP gets used, does it release this phosphorus?
Yes, it does.
So that's why it's being recycled. Okay.
What you need to know is that as far as the cell is concerned, NADP plus